Have you ever walked out to your car and found that the car didn't start? Well, I'm going to show you how to decide whether it's the battery, the charging system, or the starting system. The first thing you have to do is buy yourself a cheap voltmeter. I show you one here that costs around $15 that you can easily obtain on the internet. The first thing you want to do is take a look at your battery. Now here I show a battery that has extreme corrosion. If your battery looks like this, you certainly haven't taken good care of your vehicle, and you deserve not to start the car. However, hopefully your battery won't look like this, and instead it will have possibly no corrosion or very slight corrosion. Now when I say no corrosion, I mean, well, it may not be apparent. In actuality, the terminals may have corrosion between the terminals and the contact points, or the lug, and I have a picture here showing where the corrosion may occur. So what you'll want to do is loosen the lug, take it off the battery terminal, so that you can begin to clean the terminal and the lug surface. Here is a tool that you could buy at a local auto parts store. It's precisely for cleaning those terminals, and what you do is slip it over the terminal, clean the terminal up. It has a wire brush inside, and then the cap off the device has another wire brush that you can use to clean the inside of the lug. If the lug can be removed, in other words, if it's an add-on lug, then you could also take that off the cable and clean the cable so it makes good contact with the lug itself. And of course you can use the wire brush to do that. After everything has been cleaned, the next thing you want to do is reassemble the lug back on the battery terminal and restart the car. And you could jump start the car in order to restart it, and hopefully now the battery will begin to be recharged. And what we're going to do is find out if that is actually happening. After the car has been run for about 20 minutes or so, the battery should be sufficiently recharged, and now what you want to do is test and see if the charging system is working correctly. So what you'll do is attach the voltmeter, touch the tips to the battery terminals. The reading should be about 14.7 volts when the car is idling. If the reading is less than 14.7 volts, or 14.2 volts in that interval, that means your charging system is not working properly, and you'll probably need an alternator, or maybe even a belt tightening on the alternator, or something to do with the charging system itself. Now, after we've determined that the charging system is working properly and that the voltage reading is between, let's say, 14.2 and 14.7, next what we're going to do then is turn off the car and check the battery voltage to see if the battery is in good shape. And to do that, again, we'll touch the terminals with the voltmeter, and the reading should be in the 12 to 12.7 or 8 vicinity in order to indicate that the battery has a full charge. Now, just because the battery reads in the 12 to 12.78 volt range doesn't mean that the battery is sound. What we'll do next is, again, touch the terminals of the battery with the voltmeter and ask someone to turn the key on to try to start the car. If the battery voltage falls markedly below the 12 volt level, that means that although the battery has 12 volts, it doesn't have sufficient current and can't really start the car. And of course what will happen is the battery will fail again in the very near future. So what you want to do then, of course, is replace the battery. If when attempting to crank the car, the battery reads about 12 volts, but the car still doesn't turn over, that probably means that you have a trouble in the cranking system itself. It could be the starter, it could be the cables leading to the starter, it could be what is called a solenoid. There could be a lot of problems. But if the voltmeter reading is in the 12 volt range when the key is in the crank position and the car still doesn't start, that means that it's not the battery's fault, it's the cranking system's fault. So hopefully you can use this kind of information to try to decide what's wrong with your car, why it didn't start, before you take it down to the mechanic and maybe get ripped off. It's quite possible that, of course, he could tell you that you need a new charging system, you need a new alternator, you need a new starter, and when indeed all it could be is a little corrosion on the battery terminals or maybe the battery itself. So to be prepared is probably the best policy to be sure that you don't get ripped off. I hope I've helped you, and well, thanks for watching.